Governor considering new stay-at-home orders based off of hospital capacity. Why the CEO of a local provider says that plan makes sense. Tens of thousands of people still without power this morning, and firefighters on alert as strong winds continue to sweep across San Diego. And for the first time ever, Congress taking up the federal ban on marijuana. What comes next for the bill after passing its first hurdle? ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
And welcome this midday. Great to have you with us. I'm Jim Patton, and I'm joined remotely by my co-anchor Virginia Cha and 10 News meteorologist Megan Perry. Always great to see both of you, and we will hear from both of you very shortly. Well, the governor's new regional stay-at-home order is a big change in the way that we measure the coronavirus. Instead of looking at each county and its case rate, we're now grouped into regions with ICU capacity as the main number to keep an eye on. ABC 10 News reporter Jared Aaron spoke with hospital leaders to find out their thoughts on being at the center of the new order and what that ICU number really means.
The governor says if any region has less than 15% of its ICU beds available, the stay-at-home order goes into effect. So hospitals, which are already ground zero in the fight against this pandemic, are now under an even larger microscope.
To be really blunt about it, people could die if we don't have the right equipment, beds, and trained personnel to be able to take care of them when they have their emergency.
CEO Chris Van Gorder says hospitals are already feeling the pressure of the pandemic, and the ICU metric is as good as any number to use for deciding when to impose more restrictions. According to the state's official website, the Southern California region, which includes these 11 counties, is at 20.6%. Van Gorder says grouping all of them together makes sense because hospitals will help each other with patients if some areas get overwhelmed. But even with help, that 15% can fill quickly.
We are seeing a lot of patients coming in right now, getting tested, having problems with their breathing, having all sorts of other emergencies. They're not just COVID patients. And so we are pretty heavily impacted right now. And so 15% sounds like it could be a reasonably good number. We could fill that overnight. If we had a surge.
Meanwhile, Sharp Healthcare told us their ICU is 88% full, saying in a statement, "We want people to stay healthy and out of the hospital for COVID-19 by following safe practices so that ICU beds are available for patients who've been in serious accidents, cannot breathe on their own, or had invasive surgeries." We've also learned Friday that the state is extending its emergency loan program for small healthcare facilities, offering up to $250,000 interest-free to address the pandemic. The state says there's still $4.5 million available. Jared Aarons, ABC 10 News.
Hospital officials tell us staffing is another factor. Even if they have beds available, it won't matter if there aren't enough doctors and nurses to care for ICU patients. That could be the case if more of their employees get sick. Well, while several districts call off in-person and virtual classes today because of the weather, we have just learned that an elementary school in Lakeside is closing the campus because of a string of COVID cases. According to the district, cases are at Winter Gardens Elementary. A dozen people tested positive in the last 2 weeks. Letters went out to the families yesterday alerting them that the campus is closed for 15 days. Students and staff won't return until January 4th. Until then, learning will continue online.
Meanwhile, let's check in with meteorologist Megan Perry to talk about this weather that has been so disruptive these last couple of days. Hey, Megan, what are you seeing now?
Well, I just got an update from the National Weather Service literally seconds ago. I got a text message saying that the red flag warning was canceled. So the winds have come down enough that we're no longer at that red flag criteria. However, just be extra fire safe because it is still pretty gusty in parts of the county, including Alpine, where winds are up to 29 miles per hour, Crestwood at 31 miles per hour right now, Julian at 26. And it's also very, very dry. Looking at the humidity levels, we're anywhere from about 9% in Alpine and Hamul, 4% in Warner Springs, to up to about 17% in Poway. So very, very dry conditions. The worst of the winds were yesterday. Those have come to an end. And then as we transition into the afternoon, we're actually going to get a little bit of a sea breeze coming back in, but we are going to see another round of Santa Ana winds next week. I'll pinpoint those in your full forecast. Virginia?
Thank you so much, Megan. That is encouraging news, and it means What does that mean for the power outages? Right now, there are still more than 32,000 homes and businesses without power. SDG&E, of course, cutting power as a precaution during the high winds. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell shows us the type of hardship some of these residents have been dealing with.
SDG&E cut off power to tens of thousands of customers because of the windy conditions. But now, almost 3 days into this, some customers say they're running out of options and they need their power back now.
Well, it isn't fun. Now, we've lived in this house for 45 years, so I know about power outages, but we've never had one of these preemptive power outages.
Cynthia Chisholm isn't new to red flag warnings and what that comes with, as precautions are taken to make sure everyone stays safe. But this time she's running out of options. Her family has been relying on candles, lamps, and battery-powered equipment to make it through. Their big problem is the freezer. Without any power, their food is close to rotting.
But we have a freezer full of fish that my husband caught on a fishing trip, in the last year, and we hated for that to all get, spoiled.
Cynthia says it was windy Wednesday night, but since then it's been calm like this. This is video she shot this morning. That's why she believes her power should be restored quickly. SDG&E posted this update on their website, laying out their restoration plans, saying crews are conducting visual inspections of each impacted circuit to determine whether there were any wind-related damage before power can be restored. They add crews are looking for safety hazards such as down lines, debris, or tree branches caught in power lines. If no damage is found, power can be restored quickly. For those that have been impacted by these outages, SDG&E have created drive-through resource centers where you can get water, snacks, or just a place to charge your devices. For information on locations and the hours, go to the SDG&E website. Reporting outside SDG&E headquarters, Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
Now, again, the reason for those preemptive shutoffs is the increased fire risk across the county. And we saw how quickly fire can spread in these windy conditions this morning in Fallbrook when a house fire spread to the surrounding area and sparked a brush fire. Started a little before 6 a.m. on Sandia Creek Drive. Fire crews did act quickly. They contained that fire to a quarter of an acre before they put it out. Jim?
And Virginia, meanwhile, strong winds causing even bigger issues up in Orange County, where the bonfire has grown to 6,400 acres. And now we're learning that 2 U.S. Forest Service firefighters have been injured. Agency says the 2 were treated by paramedics and taken to a hospital for more care. But we don't know how severe their injuries are. It started as a house fire that exploded in size because of the winds. Mandatory evacuations are in effect.
And this just in, the House has passed a bill that would end the federal ban on marijuana. This is the first time that a chamber of Congress has voted on this issue. So the bill would remove pot from the federal list of controlled substances, effectively decriminalizing the drug across the U.S. It would also clear some pot-related criminal records. Now, even if it is passed by both chambers of Congress and then signed, individual states would still have to legalize marijuana. While the bill got the green light in the Democrat-controlled House, it would still need support from the Republicans in the Senate to pass.